Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Speaking of blowing minutes, can we talk a little bit about the last hour and a half of my life? Can we talk about that?
We can, but first we have to do the intro. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
My name is David Bell.
My name is Adam Ganser.
And we just watched Rock and Roll High School.
Yeah.
High School, starring Clint Howard.
I am Miss Togar, and I am the new principal of this school. And who are you?
I'm Riff Randall, rock and roller.
How many times have you and I watched a movie that's basically he's the highlight of it? It's more than one, Dave.
It's more than one.
It's more than one.
Before we keep going, though, I also need to thank someone.
Okay, great.
Burrito. Thank you to Burrito for being our Patreon producer who made this happen, who specifically asked for you, Adam.
So Burrito's the person that I need to avenge myself on, is what you're telling me. Okay, great. I will do that.
I mean, I take it you did not enjoy this movie.
I don't want to, you know what? Normally I would lean into the bit of hating this movie. It's not a good movie, but like...
No, it's a bad movie. But
I like the Ramones. I do like the Ramones. And so it was like, well, if it's just going to be a Ramones concert for half the movie, I'm not going to be that mad about that.
Yeah, this is
Why should I?
Yeah, it's Roger Corman wanting to make... This is a specific type of movie we don't make anymore. Yeah. And I don't know how to define it. It's a musical, but it's not.
It's a Porky's-like. It's a Porky's-like.
But it's like a dance film. It's a film where you take music that already exists, don't have people... Like, they have performances in this, but it's like... It's mainly like... It's like a musical, but all the songs are just not original songs.
Yeah.
It's
I never watched these movies, but like those old beach films feel like they would be in that... Or like the Elvis movies.
You know what it is?
Right?
It's that scene from Spider-Man 3 where they make an omelet while dancing.
Yes,
but a whole film. Yeah,
yes.
but a whole film. That's what it is.
Scene. Mm-hmm.
But this is to the Ramones.
I like the Ramones.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. I'm not a huge fan.
No, I listening to them again. I'm like, I should be a bigger fan of the Ramones than I am. Like, I do think
also
their
feel
music
that way,
is good, and I do think they mattered historically.
Oh yeah,
and Joey Ramone is a goblin, and I love him so much.
I'm so excited to talk about that.
Yeah.
The Ramones in this, they're the worst actors to the point that there's some trivia about that.
Yeah, great. Very excited.
But like, as for the band itself, like they're like kids' music to me. Like I love punk, and they're so easy to listen to. They're so poppy and fun, and like they just go down so smooth that they sort of obviously transcended the genre where it's like everybody loves the Ramones.
I found it thrilling to contrast them with the Sex Pistols and like other, I'm going to put this in quotes, contemporaries, because it's a point of contention.
Right.
And realize like, oh, the Ramones are so much more fun. Like they're like lighthearted and fun. Like there's not that much of that.
At least in the type of, in the style of music.
Yeah.
Like that's what I mean is like, I like a lot more weirder punk. I like some really weird screechy shit. Sure. I like a huge spectrum, but like it makes sense why the Ramones is a band where it's like, you know, you could play this for children and they would instantly love it. You know, like it's just a bop the whole way through. Everything they make is delightful. And like it's funny that they're treated like dangerous in this.
It's so good.
It's so quaint. And I'm sure there was a time where they were seen more like that because they're sort of, you know, they were subversive when they came out. But nowadays, it's like they're in commercials. Like it's just
But even the image of Joey Ramone trying to look ferocious, he just ends up looking like a kid having a great time on set.
Yes.
It's like, nah, man, this is not working for you.
They
yeah.
That's, I think, see, I don't know because I wasn't there, but I think that was part of their appeal, which is like, the thing about the Ramones is like, Joey Ramone was, he actually has a medical condition. That's why he's so lanky.
Yes.
He's had a few medical issues. These are kids who are normally like picked on, and they're rock stars, right? And that's part of the appeal of the Ramones is that they're a bunch of fucking goons, and they're they're
dorks.
Yeah. And they're sort of made for, like, there's this genre of punk that's very high school, especially like the 70s era, like the Undertones, stuff like that, Cockspar, where they have all these songs about being young. They're like meant for like a high school dance, and it was always very funny when they became like 60 and they're still singing the songs about being in high school. Obviously,
well, the Ramones didn't, but a lot of those bands did. Joey Ramone died at almost 50, which is very sad.
I mean, you can still, they still like, it's like the Misfits, where you can still see like this zombie version of them sometimes that tours.
I think they're all dead. I think all the Ramones
maybe not
died.
the Ramones anymore, but I remember in my lifetime there were Ramones shows that were like but it's like we've cobbled together. Like, all right, we have a guitarist from this band and like one person from the Ramones that we got. But
it's the audio slave of Ramones.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It's still like, we're going to probably talk a lot about the Ramones, I would guess, on this podcast, because that's the most substantive thing that's going on in this movie is the Ramones.
Yeah, there's one other element to it, I'd say. Do you know? So you know who co-directed this?
I'm ready, Dave.
Joe Dante.
Oh,
made Gremlins. I mean, did you notice who the DP was?
No, there was only one credit that really stood out to me, and I'll get back.
All right. The DP is Dean Cundy. He was known for Halloween, The Thing, Jurassic Park, Back to the Future, Escape from New York, Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Wait. He was the DP of Jurassic Park?
Yeah, Dean Cundy.
No, that doesn't sound right. Look
him up.
I'm looking it up right now.
Because
Holy
because
shit.
he was. There's certain things about this movie that's kind of fascinating. Like I said, it's like you know the giant mice in this.
Yes,
the giant mouse is played by Rob Bottin, who did all of the special effects for The Thing and a lot of John Carpenter. So this is like a crew of people who are, I guess you could say they're all kind of still getting their start.
Yeah, it's the 70s.
It's the Roger Corman of it all, where he knew talent when he saw it.
Yeah.
So Joe Dante is even in this as a riot cop in one scene, but he is uncredited as a co-director.
That's fun. Yeah, you can tell knowing that there are people who know what they're doing in this film. Like, this film doesn't look like shit.
No.
For what it is.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it looks okay. It's in that genre of discount Fast Times at Ridgemont High. There's a bunch of those.
See, I think of it as like parody humor. It sort of,
it's close to that. Yes.
Yeah, it's sort of like UHF or Naked Gun or Top Secret, where it's almost like surrealist. Like it's a type of humor that's sort of coming back now with like I Think You Should Leave and Kids in the Hall was a while ago, but like we've had a resurgence of that type of humor more.
Night Bitch, Dave.
Night Bitch,
Dave. Because I'm telling you.
Oh yeah,
there's a chance, Dave.
What, that there'll be a night bitch in this?
No, that's the vibe of Night Bitch.
Oh yeah, maybe.
And movies like that, like sort of surreal, like just bizarre inclusion stuff.
Yeah,
because like even Arrested Development and great internet content has a bit of an homage to these early goofy parodies.
Yeah,
like they're linked. They're different senses of humor, but jokes that feel like they're better.
Yeah,
as they've evolved. Anyway.
I have another comparison to make with this, and I don't know if you agree with me on this.
Who knows, man?
This is also very American Graffiti to me.
Okay, yeah.
And what I mean by that is I did not like American Graffiti.
It's okay.
And I think because it's like a Dazed and Confused, but for kind of an era I have no reverence for, where they're like, we're all hanging out in our cars, and I'm like, I don't care. This also has a Howard in it, like American Graffiti.
Yep.
and it's sort of that hangout vibe, right? It's a little sillier. I think it's more entertaining because it's more wacky.
This is more entertaining than American Graffiti?
Yeah, but that's
Okay.
purely subjective because, like you, I like the Ramones. And the American Graffiti I found boring because I didn't care about people driving around all day.
I'm with you. I like that movie better, but this movie is definitely more fun.
Yeah.
More fun.
Yes. American Graffiti is probably the better movie in terms of
Yeah.
craftsmanship. But
Yeah. But weirdly, it feels like all these high school parody or hangout movies, except for Dazed and Confused, are more about the 50s than anything else.
Yes.
Than like their current era. It's a weird thing. It's like we're paralyzed in that era of high school for some strange reason.
I think that's why I like this because, fucking American Graffiti, by the way, came out 10 years after it took place. Like, that's how, like, it felt so weirdly nostalgic for something that was still like right around the corner, and it felt like it was very much like, look at how great we were. And I get it. I get it because every generation loves kind of doing that. And obviously there's the whole war stuff where they're like, and then we went off to war. And so they are talking about this sort of peak before this fall. But this I really liked as sort of an American Graffiti for the transition from that era of rock and roll, because this is 79, to 80s punk as being more cynical, where it's like, it still has all those elements of like the teachers like, oh, what is this? No, you can't be dancing in the hallway, but they also burned down the school.
They did burn down the school. Yes.
So it's just got that little more of that cynicism and a little more of the like, fuck all of this vibe.
Yeah.
To it.
But not the anger behind it, which I think makes it more appealing. Actually, like it's more
the
silly.
joy.
Yeah. That's right. It does feel very joyful, in a kind of like, I don't know. You'll rebuild the school. Who gives a shit?
And punk tends to be pretty joyful, not in necessarily the music itself, but whenever like I've never gone to a punk show that was angry. If that makes sense. Like the mosh pits are always people who are enjoying themselves. The most toxic mosh pits I've been to are like non-punk music, like Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, like speed metal, that kind of shit. Yeah.
No, even some speed metal. I don't know. It depends, but it's usually like more in the mainstream where it's like, I don't know. Punk has always been a fairly positive vibes in their pits.
I think you're remembering it a little fondly compared to the scene as a whole, but I'm okay with it, Dave, because who am I to say you didn't have that experience? I know you did.
I'm talking about the shows themselves.
Yeah, I believe that.
Because like people are there to have fun. Like rarely are there fights in a mosh pit at a punk show. Rarely.
Whereas I think that was like Korn's leading feature.
Right, exactly.
It's a band.
And that's what I mean is like when you go see a band like Korn, it's like they don't know how to do it right. I don't know. They
No. They did know how to have awesome bass lines. They did that correctly, Dave. They were very good at it. I'll just say I don't know that I believe this feels like a transitional form in the way you're describing it, where it's like, oh, we're leaving behind the 50s and 60s. I mean, definitely where it ends, it feels more like we've transgressed against the previous generation.
Right.
But we're still reacting to that generation as though it was contemporary.
Well, that's what's interesting is like the teachers in this are seen as either neutral or a lot of them are treated as good people.
One of them is,
yes.
Yeah.
And he's treated like a square. Like he shows up in a parade of the show, and you can tell he represents the like.
Yeah, he says "Daddy-o."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is funny to watch a '70s movie call out what's lame.
Yes.
Where you're like, oh, that's
really dumb.
adorable. That's like 100 fucking years ago.
No, all this is dumb. That's like all of it.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't want to be a cynical asshole about this movie because I don't think that's fun. I do think the movie is a good time. Like, I wasn't bored. You know, I kept writing down jokes while I was watching it. I think it's fun.
It had a couple. It got a couple of laughs from me. I thought it was generally fine. Like, I'm not in love with this. It's more the fact that if it was any other band, I would probably hate this movie.
Yes, I agree.
And it was going to be other bands. They were looking around for different bands to be in this story. So
That's
like it
weird.
wasn't tied to the Ramones. It was like at one point it was going to be like metal, stuff like that, where it's like, or like hair metal. And it was like, man, if this was hair metal, I would have fucking hated it. Yeah. Nothing
that
against
era?
hair metal.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have gotten the New York Dolls or something and probably had a more raucous, fun time.
New York Dolls. That would have been fascinating.
But they were. Yes, it would have, because then you really would have had to do some gender discussions that I think would have made this movie cool.
Yeah.
I agree. This movie does a little bit wink at some of those things.
I want it to be Iggy Pop. and
Right,
he's
the
just,
Stooges. Yeah,
Just
that's
strung out
obvious.
the whole fucking time.
Right, or Black Flag or some band like that.
Black Flag. I mean, Ramones is kind of perfect for this again because they're very
It's lighthearted.
boppy high school shit, and they were the biggest version of that, you know.
Definitely, no doubt.
And so they work really well for this, even though they are just again goons. So the plot of this movie, if you can call it that, two teenage girls. One of them is PJ Souls from Halloween. She was one of the. I believe she was murdered by Michael Myers when he wears the ghost.
Okay, I've only
sheet.
seen that. I've only seen Halloween once, Dave.
Oh, okay.
I
The
know.
other one is Dae Young, who, for my DS9 heads, was the woman who took Odo's virginity on
Wow.
DS9. Yeah. And they are
I've only
obsessed
seen
with
that-
the Ramones.
I've only seen that never, Dave.
Oh.
I've never seen it. I'm sorry, Dave.
They're obsessed with the Ramones. One of them wants to get laid. One of them really wants to get fucked. Is her
Well,
whole thing.
So the movie starts out. I know we're not going to do we're not going to do a whole in-depth thing here, probably,
No.
right, Dave? Yeah, okay, fair enough. So
I want to just give the
that's fine. I just want to point out the movie starts out making you think that Rambo, K Rambo, is gonna be a nerd. Like she's dressed like a nerd in a way that's not
Yes.
contemporary, and you're like, oh, okay, so she's gonna have a hard time fitting in with.
I think
Riff.
she is still a nerd. She's just like the nerdier friend, right? Is the idea.
I guess I would say this is what I mean when I say the movie isn't good. It is like the movies seem to be telegraphing she's a nerd. The other star is like the cool girl at the school,
Right.
And like the movie's going to be about them learning to appreciate each other in some way, or like
Yeah.
going through an adventure. No, like she right away steps up and does like a cool thing by taking responsibility for a rock out,
Yeah.
and goes to detention. It's like, okay, so you can't take anything from outfits in this movie.
No,
Like, nothing.
it's all vibes. Again, it
Yeah.
is all hubris. It's all like,
Yeah.
look how cool this was.
Yeah.
Look how cool it is. Which is
Yeah.
why, again, if I didn't like the Ramones, I would hate this movie. It would be smug and weird. There was, again,
I
a couple
agree.
jokes where I'm like, yeah, these jokes were fun. But most of the jokes were like, There was only one racist one, I believe. I counted one racist one, but
I'm
maybe
sure
I
there
missed
was.
some others.
Yeah.
But it's all very black and white, where it's like, here are the nerds, here are like the weak ass nerds getting stuffed in their locker, the
Although,
jocks.
let's be honest, that kid was loving that. That kid was having the best time.
He
being...
seemed to be, yeah.
Oh yeah, he was having a great time. I didn't feel bad for him at all.
No,
He was like getting carried by the jocks, and he was so like,
he had so many
He was-
one-liners.
yeah, and he was so like just perfectly at home in their arms. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I was like, okay, great. Well, nobody's gonna get deeply hurt in this movie. I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The lunch lady. I felt bad for the lunch ladies because
Yeah,
I was like,
it's like,
the
what'd
fuck
they do?
did they do? Yeah.
they're just working for a living, man. Come on.
Everybody else, I felt like I knew where they stood. So
Right.
basically, this new principal shows up who
Clearly
is
a Nazi.
Clearly,
Like,
a Nazi. I hate that I say this. Absolutely smoking throughout.
She is pretty attractive. They
It
do their
was-
best to make her not attractive, but it is a bit of a problem.
But she was, yes.
Yeah.
That's how I would describe it. Like she got on set and they're like, damn it, this lady is smoking. How do we run with this?
They shot awful angles on her on
Yeah.
purpose.
but
like,
it doesn't matter.
she's a little bit too attractive.
And then she's
for
all
us to get
stern, and
the-
you're like, well, that's making it worse. You know, like, come on.
Yeah, she's definitely
Now
got
I just
the
want her
tall,
to step on me.
the tall vampire lady thing
Yeah.
that Dave likes. I didn't find her deeply erotic as Dave seems to have, but I will say that it was a problem. You could tell they were
Yeah.
trying to shoot her so she looked weirder than she is.
But I'm glad they didn't recast her, I guess. I'm glad she got the
yeah.
work.
Yeah, sure. I don't
It's
know
not-
if this
it's
work
not
did
her
much
fault
for her.
she's smoking. No, I looked her up. She did not.
I'm not surprised by that. I mean, this is a movie that can only hurt you unless you're a Ramon. The Ramones are impervious to the effect of this movie.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, they're just having a great time.
They're like it's like bringing dogs on. Like it's just like they're just happy to be there and they like the attention.
That's what you think having dogs is, by the way. That's not what it's like. But continue.
No, I don't mean like trained dogs. I mean just like bringing dogs
Bring a dog
into
somewhere.
a room full of people. They're just like everybody's happy to see us. It's just that energy.
Yeah, they do have that. I completely agree. Also, the number of times they show up in a car with their instruments unplugged or only half of their drum kit or whatever, acting like they're playing a song. It's like, thanks, guys.
It's great.
Thanks for trying it. I really appreciate that you're doing it. You know?
Yeah. So,
great.
she Shawshank Redemption's the school. Remember, she puts on Ramones' album on the loudspeaker, which I realized. I looked up when he wrote Shawshank Redemption. I was like, he fucking took this.
You son of a bitch.
You stole it from Rock and Roll High School.
Did he?
I don't know. It did get written later, many years later. So, yeah.
Well, we're going to start dismantling his legacy. This is the beginning of it, Dave. It's a whole series of podcasts. Destroy Stephen King.
Oh, yeah.
Long live the king.
And so it's just this. It's this idea of like dangerous music. You're all, and they literally have this moment where she like brings lab mice to show like exposure to rock and roll.
The lab mice was my favorite moment in the film.
It was pretty great
for many reasons. First thing is, why does this woman have experiments? Like, why does she need them? What are we doing?
I don't know.
It's completely insane. No, I have I'm sorry, Dave. I have like 4 things I wrote down. I got to get through them, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, number 2, she holds a mouse out while explaining what what we've learned from the mice forever. Like, she's holding onto this mouse by a tail forever. And you're like, just put it down, man. Just put the mouse down.
The mouse is uncomfortable. Just put it down.
Yeah, just put it down. Then she's like, here's a picture of the mouse while she holds the mouse in front of this giant blown up picture. We don't need a picture. There's the mouse you have in your hand,
right.
But okay.
Sure.
Then she's like, here's what happens when the mouse listens to rock and roll music. She removes the poster to show the poster beneath, and it's just the same mouse in a leather jacket.
Yes.
And it was the best thing I've ever seen, Dave. I was like, the rat got awesome.
Good. Yeah, the rat got awesome.
Yeah.
And then the rat gets giant and starts showing up at the shows.
It's like Splinter from Secret of the Ooze or some shit.
It's amazing.
It's so good.
What I love about when teachers are like this idea of teachers being like rock and roll is bad for you, I always think like, no, you're so close. Heroin. You're thinking of heroin. You're so close.
Yeah, it's actually
like, it is
specifically heroin.
Yeah, it is involved. It's just not the music itself.
Yeah. The film kind of edged toward that by showing a couple of cocaine references. They're like, oh, that's a little bit risque for this film.
They showed a bouncer turning a guy away for being stoned. And I was like, that's not how that works at all.
No, he's the one handing out the blunts. Get out of here, bro. Yeah.
I got a kick out of, and maybe it's stupid, but it felt very Naked Gun, Clint Howard and his office. So
that's part of the movie.
So the girl, or there's a jock who needs to get laid. He's walking around just staring at women like a freak.
Right.
Right. It's that weird, like, horny high school character. Yeah.
Yeah. Complete maniac. He's wearing a 50s Letterman jacket and a tie.
Yeah.
And he, like, doesn't know how to talk to women because he's a dork, but he's the high school quarterback.
Yes.
It's like, who is this guy?
I couldn't get a handle on him. Like you were saying, everybody's dressed. I think they're trying to say something about that, which is the idea, and it's a big punk rock theme, which is like looks are deceiving, right?
Okay, sure.
And I think that's what they were trying to do, but they didn't really do it.
It was just confusing.
Yes, I agree.
It was a mislead. It was like, so this guy's a dork. Got it.
Yeah, and I might be giving them too much of the benefit of the doubt by even saying that. But that was like what I was like trying to make sense of it, of like, maybe that's what they're going for. So he goes
up pretty quickly on any signifiers being meaningful.
Yeah.
Like none of them, except for the Nazi stuff with the principal. That was
pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then he goes to Clint Howard, and Clint Howard has a stall in the bathroom in the boys' room that is just an office. And
Dave.
I really liked this bit. It was very stupid.
I loved it too. We need to have a conversation, Dave. Okay. Number 1, what is his job? What does he do?
So I looked up how old he was. He's like 20 when this was made.
Okay. Great.
And so that is the first thing. So this is like, I think, a high school stereotype that is very vague, but I've seen in a lot of movies, which is the drug dealer. The like, think The Faculty. Remember Josh Hartnett?
Yeah,
where he's not just dealing drugs, he's like doing chemistry, he's like helping people cheat on exams. Like The Fixer.
Yeah,
there's the high school
guy.
Fixer, which I'm not sure ever existed. Like, maybe
it's a thing we like. It's an idea we like.
So that's what he is. He's like the bookie. He's the fixer. He's the scum. So he has a secretary. He has his office has carpeting. He has graphs. Like, he has presentations in his office.
Graphs about like the different aspects of his business that are succeeding or failing.
That's why I liked it, is that they went all in. Like, they gave him the wood paneling. They gave him a full office. Yeah.
He was the best character in the movie. He was most fun. I came to believe ultimately what he is. I mean, he's a fixer. You're right. And he's just trying to get everyone in this school into prostitution.
Yeah.
Like,
so
that's really it. He just turning them all out.
I have a similar headcanon.
Okay,
I
great.
think he might be the Zodiac Killer.
Yeah.
Because let's just follow this thread real quick. What he does, because then the girl comes to him and goes like, "I also want to get fucked," and he's like, "All right, everybody come to my van." And it was like, "Oh shit,
here we go, man." Fuck.
Yeah. And so he first brings them in. He has multiple vehicles.
Yep.
He first brings them in a car to where it looks like a Zodiac crime scene. It's like a wooded, it's a hilly area over.
It's a cliff. He brought it to a cliff.
Yeah.
It was, first, when they pull up to the cliff, the quarterback's just there already. I was like, what was he doing before he started? Like, what are his previous fucking circumstances, you know?
Right.
Like, it was incredible. Go ahead, Dave. Continue.
Oh, no. And then he brings her there with this guy and puts up a fake night backdrop.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was for, because
it was incredible.
If it's to simulate night, the thing to simulate is low light.
Right.
And that doesn't do that. Man. I don't know what that means.
I thought at first the movie was trying to make us believe it was at night with one backdrop, because they didn't reveal the backdrop for a while.
Right.
And it kept wobbling and stuff. I was like, boy, this is really bad, guys.
Yeah.
And then it does kind of pull out to show that he put it up.
Right.
But
which meant he
left
brought
more
it.
confused. Right.
Yeah.
Why did he bring this? What are we doing?
And then...
Please continue. Dave.
Oh, and then he's like, okay, I want you two to practice kissing, and I'll stay here and watch.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is terrifying.
This is what an incredible figure he's cut already.
Yeah.
You know? Then he gets into bra removal training, and it seems like Johnny Quarterback was less into that than she was.
Yeah.
Than Kay Rambo. By the way, her last name's Rambo. What are we doing?
Yeah,
here?
it is.
You know, Kay Rambo. And we don't continue with the training, but one presumes they got all the way to how to penetrate, right?
I assume.
They must have.
Yeah. I think, later we get to this part where they're going to double date. So, like, the idea, what happens later, so the girls get their tickets taken away by the principal for the Ramon show. Then they win concert tickets back. I guess, sure, whatever. So they go to the Ramones show so they break off a date that they have with this jock and Clint Howard. And Clint Howard's like the wingman. And so she basically it's a forced double date where two of them want to shtup and the other two just have to. But Clint Howard's into it. And there's a sequence when they're winning the tickets where it cuts to Clint Howard and this guy. And like they're like, oh, we're going to take turns fucking them in the back of this van. They're like talking about how they're going to take turns. And that's terrifying. And then it cuts back to them.
Yeah, it's real bad.
But the part that made me laugh is they cut back to Clint Howard and the jock, and they are leaning against the van in noon daylight, drinking bourbon.
Yeah, bourbon.
Yeah, and one of them has a
16.
glass. Yeah, and the other one's drinking from a bottle. And it felt like they were like juicing themselves up to commit murder. Like it felt like these two women avoided getting murdered. And then I thought, oh, Clint Howard's getting this kid drunk so he can murder him as well.
Yeah.
Because he gets him like too drunk. That's why I started getting Zodiac, where I was like, I think he's going to kill all three of these kids. And I think he's actually 35. Like, that's my...
He looks
headcanon.
35,
yeah.
number one. Also, Clint Howard has never not played a maniac.
No.
Like even in the roles he's not a maniac, yes, he is. Like, get out of here. He's a maniac.
Yeah.
I would say... Either we have a much higher body count in the background that's all Clint Howard,
Yeah.
Or this is how he recruits people into his school-wide prostitution ring.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Which
Either
you know,
one.
Yeah, either is true.
He's not up to good. Like that's
No.
the thing is in this whole exchange, I was like, no one has paid him. So like, what is he getting out of this? And it's got to be blood, you know, or
Yeah, bottled blood.
or
Yep.
jizz, blood or jizz.
There was a sign in one of these science things very early that was talking about cloning, which
That's
was
fucked up.
a strangely prescient and bizarrely fast-forwarded issue to be present in 1979.
Yeah.
So maybe that features into your blood exchange theory, Dave.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, could be. You know, maybe that's the one piece of production design that actually matters in this movie.
So they were literally leaving a trail, like a
Yeah, they're
trail
like,
of clues.
this is it. You know,
Yeah.
this is it, man. What a fucking movie.
I want to talk about the Ramones some more.
Okay, great. So I want to talk a little more about the Ramones as well. Did you care at all about Riff?
What's
Riff's-
Riff?
That's the name of the protagonist, I believe, Dave. Riff. I think that's her name, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean,
well,
you're probably right.
we'll call her Rock Girl, just so you know, just in case I'm wrong about
Yeah,
that.
the answer is no. She wrote a Ramones song with music. Like I was like, where did she get this fucking like she writes Rock and Roll High School is the plot.
Yes.
And she needs to bring it to the
Yes.
Ramones. And I did like that. They have this weird thing where there's like this groupie named Angel Dust.
Angel
who-
Dust.
I was like, does she symbolize like addiction to drugs? And they have this manager who's like very gatekeepy.
Which is
I-
what a manager does. Let's
Right.
be honest. Yeah.
I do generally like it's very punk rock where even the managers they're like they suck too. They're necessarily
yeah, yeah.
evil.
yeah.
Like there's a part where he's literally feeding Joey Ramone like grass.
Yeah. It's like
And he's like, you got to eat your feed like that. And it was like, what the fuck is happening?
the idea that the manager is keeping Joey Ramone eating healthy is probably the funniest bit in this movie.
It is.
Because that's what he was like, no, man, you got to eat your wheatgrass and like you're
Right.
not allowed to eat pizza and shit. It's like, get out of here. No way.
Yeah.
Please. Anyway.
It's very silly. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the general message is about, you know, it's a very basic idea, which is that if you squeeze us too hard, we'll pop and we'll fucking burn down the school. Like that's essentially it, right? Is this over oppressive teacher tries to police their fucking she kidnaps people. She's doing a legal thing. She uses her hall monitors to go out into the night like minions. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't think you can do that to attack
haven't-
people.
There are literally no school infractions at issue in this movie.
Yeah.
Like the thing that except for that Riff skips school to get tickets. So like
Right.
once she confiscates the tickets, all the misbehavior in this movie is over.
Yeah.
Like there's no further misbehavior after that.
she
you know?
steals their personal property and
Right.
burns it. She
Right,
sets
she's
up
like,
a bonfire of
"You
like
turned the
I've
school
gotten,
against me."
Yeah, I've gotten all your albums. Like it's so weird. Like just all that needs to happen is a single cop can walk up and go like, "You did what?"
Yeah, you can't
Oh,
do that.
No, you
Get the
can't.
fuck
Yeah,
out of here. Yeah. You're coming with me.
yeah,
Yeah.
But the
I'm sorry, Dave. I just want to interject one
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
I need you to know one of the greatest screenwriting tricks in this movie that the hall monitors' names are Hansel and Gretel. I just needed you to hear. Like it was said once. and
That's amazing.
And that's when I remembered there are 3 screenwriters, and they all signed off on Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, I mean they're like good enough.
We got it.
Yeah.
We got it.
Moving
Time for an
on.
early bourbon lunch. Yeah.
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 I'm imagining that's like a first draft thing that by like
Oh,
the 5th
yeah.
draft, the writer
doubt.
is like quietly sitting there like, so no one cares about the Hansel and Gretel. Because I wrote that in a second. It was a throwaway thing.
Yeah. What's
And
the
they're
worst?
Like, nah, it's great. It's fine.
Yeah. What are words that occupy space? These
Yeah.
are ones. Yeah.
What's
Okay.
a book I saw in the room while I was writing? Yeah.
I don't know.
It's but yeah, I mean that's the general moral. Were you gonna ask me if I cared about the main character at all? Because like
I was.
it was fine. She was fine.
Yeah.
This
She was
ties
okay.
into it ties into the Ramones a little bit, which is like she's obsessed with the Ramones, and like again, I love the Ramones. I get
Sure.
why they were big, but it
Yeah.
is such a funny thing for teenage girls to be obsessed with. There
I
is
agree.
a sequence where she fantasizes that the
Oh, boy.
Ramones are in her room.
Oh, boy.
And it was like fantasizing about the Babadook being in your room, where I was just like, these fucking goons, and they're so awkward. None of them can act.
Not
And
one
so
of them
they-
is hot in like a Lenny Kravitz way.
Yeah, and
like,
she's
not even
fantasizing
close.
showering with them, and
Man.
like,
The shower one was my favorite one because
Yeah.
they were all playing their instruments. Number one, so like none of them were like wooing her except for
No.
Joey Ramone a little bit. But so when we get to the shower part, she whips open the shower curtain, and the bassist is in there playing his bass while water is pouring.
yeah,
on him.
which was great. He looked
It
like
was
he was
great.
having fun.
Yeah, I was
I
like,
hope-
okay, like, sure.
I hope this scene was fun to film, and I feel like it might have been. I'm just like, this poor girl is in her underwear surrounded by Ramones, and I'm
Agreed.
like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
like,
not great. Yeah. What a weird day.
Yeah, it's got to
Yeah.
be a weird day, but like,
they didn't. To their credit, they don't have a bone of like lurid energy at
No.
all. Like they're
That's
just such music dorks.
and
That's it.
Yeah, it's like that's almost the problem with the fantasy, where it's like, man, you couldn't have imagined them to be sexier. Like they are so awkward. I love
They're
it
like
so
they are
much.
terrified from getting behind that drum kit.
Yes.
They do not want anywhere near her at all.
Yes,
They're
that's
like,
what I pick. I
ooh.
picture like the actress on set walking up to them to just chat, and them like being like, "I gotta go,"
They're like,
like rushing away.
yeah. They do not look like they could have dealt with her. Like she was a bit of force of nature in that room.
Yes.
You know, which was thrilling. Joey Ramone charmed the hell out of me here from his sheer humanity.
Yeah.
Like not one drop of acting talent, not a whiff of it.
Yeah,
You know, like, and but the sheer humanity of that man that comes across in every single thing he does.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, yeah, I like you, man. You're a good dude.
they're a band.
know?
It's incredible. Yeah.
They're so good.
Again,
yeah.
it's a band made up of Adam Drivers. Like they're such little goons.
Yeah, but
you
they don't
love
have any
them.
rage in them.
No,
there's
no
no
rage.
rage. Just awkward Adam Drivers. That's what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, Dee Ramone was such a bad actor that they reduced his lines from 7 to 2, and the 2 lines was "Hey pizza" and "Hey pizza, let's dig in."
Hey, pizza.
Just one scene. That was the best he could do, is being excited for pizza in one scene. It's perfect.
We were robbed of those 5 lines, Dave.
You're right.
I needed every one of those. Fuck that, man.
Yeah.
I want to burn this podcast down because we don't have those lines. Give me the lines, damn it. I
Yeah.
need them.
I want the DD cut. Give me the DD cut of this
I
movie.
want the footage. I want to see the director working with them, trying to get him to do anything correctly.
Yeah, I'm imagining
it.
it's that like director going, "Okay, cut." Holy shit! Like going, just rubbing his eyes, walking away, just like Jesus fucking Christ.
Smoke breaks. Just so many smoke breaks, man. Like, you know what? We'll get it after lunch. let's regroup. We'll get it.
Watching those dailies, like we're gonna have to.
Holy shit.
Oh my god!
Can we get the pizza? Do we have to cut the fucking pizza?
Yeah. Do we need the Ramones in this movie?
Can I get a stunt Ramon? I asked for one in the budget. Where's my stunt Ramon? Holy shit.
They're not even good when they're performing and acting. Like
No, they're not.
they're so on the spot. Like you can feel the camera on them.
Yes,
Where it's like the
absolutely.
moment you record them, they just like lock up.
Yeah.
It's
They-
amazing.
I will say that I think the guitarist, who I think is who we're making fun of about the 7 lines, the guitarist did get into the concert stuff.
Yeah.
Like he was doing his best.
He got in
and
the zone.
he got in the zone. Joey Ramone never got in the zone.
No.
Never 1 minute got
I mean,
in the
how
zone.
how many successful punk actors are there? Just the one, I believe.
Henry Rollins, right?
Yeah.
And Iggy Pop, if you count him as punk.
He was in Deep Space Nine. You're right.
No, he was in Coffee and Cigarettes. Have you ever seen Coffee and Cigarettes?
Oh yeah, but he's just playing himself.
But
Him
he's
and,
acting?
Yeah, it's
Tom
him
Waits.
and Tom Waits,
Tom
which
Waits,
is a
and
great scene.
fucking
yeah.
awesome scene, yeah.
Again, he's in Deep Space Nine, and I'm just gonna say he wasn't good in it, but I
Sure.
liked that
Okay.
he was in it.
Okay.
Leaving of Fear, he was in Clue, and
Wasn't
like
the-
maybe one other thing,
Wasn't the lead guy from The Clash in a couple things
maybe.
before he died? I
But
think
I
he
would
was.
call Henry Rollins the only successful one where it's
I
like
can
he
accept
had a
that.
career. Like people cast him for things,
I
not
accept
because
that.
they were just like, oh, I love Black Flag, right?
Yeah, he's in Heat, and it like thrills me that he's got a role
Yeah.
in Heat for a bit.
He does.
Yeah.
I'm looking up. Oh, I guess. See, I don't count Courtney Love as a punk singer, but I guess some people might.
She's a good actor.
Yeah. Oh,
She's had
I mean,
good roles.
Tim Armstrong was just in an X-Files we watched, but yeah, I wouldn't call him a good actor. Ice-T, he had Body Count. That's
now
a punk
but
band.
now we're just talking about you mean musicians, not punk musicians, right?
Well, Ice-T had a punk band, but you're right. Exclusive. If you're talking about exclusive punk musicians,
Because I
it's
think
pretty
that-
much Henry Rollins. And that's it.
Yeah, I think that punk music
Like
requires. Yeah, I don't think he's punk at all.
He was in the band Fear, so he was in a
Okay.
punk band, a very
Okay.
large one.
I can accept that, and he's fine. I think that punk requires a kind of authenticity that's hard to erase as an actor. You know what I mean? Like the imagination of yourself as a different person seems like it'd be hard for a successful punk musician.
Well, it's a
You know?
persona, yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Where it's like I don't want to break that by being like, and like there's certain elements of like it depends on the band, but there's probably elements of ego there and stuff. Because I think
Definitely.
that's the same reason like a professional wrestler has trouble acting because they're like, all right, in this scene you're going to get kicked in the balls, and they're like, I don't want to be kicked in the balls, like it's that.
Yeah, they're like, no,
Vibe.
that doesn't happen. Let's hit my entrance music. I'll come to
Right.
the scene.
Which I bring up because I believe Lee Ving and Clue is literally kneed in the balls. So I was like, good on him for getting kneed in the balls.
That's starting to change with wrestlers, by the way. I think.
Oh yeah,
because wrestling is acting more than punk music is acting.
yeah. But in terms of like, successful acting career, I'm still like, I guess the best one is Henry Rollins that I can think of.
I want to say that Johnny Rotten got snuck into a couple things, but Johnny
Yeah.
Rotten is an asshole from what I
Yeah.
can tell.
Oh yeah. I think
yeah.
there's like the novelty of them being put in certain things, like
Sure.
this movie,
Right.
versus when it's like, oh, you're in this movie because we cast you, like you as
play
an
yourself.
actor, not
Yeah,
as
yeah,
not as a punk musician, like as an actor. Which, of course, obviously they're not being cast in this for that reason. They're being cast because they're the Ramones, so they just need to act like the Ramones.
Which they barely did.
Yes.
If they did at all, I
They barely acted like themselves.
I think that just shows you, even when you're appearing as yourself on camera, it does take a certain amount of acting talent.
Yes.
You know, because Joe Ramone doesn't have it, man. He
No.
does not have it.
And I don't think they'd be
I love 'em.
offended by this conversation either.
No,
I feel like
really like him. you know?
I feel like just like the director, I could see them coming out of each scene and like going to each other and going like, "That was brutal, man."
Fuck, give me some pizza.
Like, yeah,
I need that pizza.
I fucking hate this. I don't think anybody was having a good time. I'd like to think Dee Dee though. I want to think Dee Dee was like, "Well, I'm fucking nailing it." Like I don't know what
is
you
that
guys.
the guitarist?
Yeah, that's
Or
the guy who sucked
okay.
the most.
Oh yeah.
I want like one of them to really think they were nailing it and go to auditions afterwards.
If anyone has the extra takes where we have his lines,
Oh,
I need
yeah.
them. Like put those in the Discord
Oh
immediately.
yeah,
I
I'll
need
pay
that.
like $10-15 for that.
I would. I
Yeah.
would. Yeah, that would be fun. I'd split that with you, Dave.
Yeah.
I'll split that 10-15 with you.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. Because I'm telling you, I think we would really enjoy it. I really do.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, it's been 47 minutes, and to be honest with you, man, I don't know other than minute by minute how much more I have to say about this movie.
I'll say I like that when 15 minutes of the movie just became a Ramones concert, and I was like, this was my favorite part. Is just
Mine
jamming
too.
out to the Ramones, just enjoying the Ramones.
Mine too. I got a little bit like. That's where I rolled a little bit because I was like, I didn't think this was going to be such a promotion of the Ramones, but okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
You know?
it's
Because the last half is almost exclusively a trailer for a record for them.
it's not a movie in the way that I think of movie. Like what I mean by that is like obviously anything could be a fucking movie, right? We have experimental movies, but it's
Completely.
not a it's a fairly strong. Again, it's like those beach movies or those Elvis movies, I imagine, where it feels like it's a bare bones plot to just It's like the Eras tour or whatever that fucking thing was called. It's that where it's like we want people who are fans of the Ramones in the theaters singing along. That's what we actually want. We just want people who are into this band going and enjoying themselves and like getting some laughs out of like some of the gags, you know?
Yeah.
And getting high. It's
a midnight movie. Yeah. This is a midnight movie,
or
I
a
think.
background movie now that like on rental when it came to rental.
It would be a great movie to have on at a party at like a reasonable volume. Like it's on, somebody's projecting it on a wall while people are hanging out and talking, and like you just check in with it every 10, 15 minutes.
It comes with its own music where you're just like,
I think it'd be
Ramones.
fun. Yeah, I think people would really enjoy it, for real.
One last thing I'll say. This movie isn't actually the best example of this. It's just a movie that made me realize this. Like I mentioned, Rob Bottin is the mouse, and Rob Bottin is known for amazing practical effects. Mm-hmm. I realized that slapstick genre is kind of, people don't think about how much of a powerhouse it is for practical effects to make a slapstick movie. There's a shot in this where someone throws a paper airplane that goes through the window into the teacher's ear. And looking at that shot, I was like, I'm not entirely sure how they achieved that shot. I think maybe it was reversed. I didn't see any strings. I didn't see any
the take kept going after he got hit too. They didn't cut.
Yeah.
So it was like, how did they do that? Yeah.
Right. That was a genuinely really good effect.
Yeah.
And you don't think about it, but because it's like nowadays it's like, a fucking green screen or something. But now it's like, no, they did that practically in this shot in what looked like a real location of this paper airplane flying through a classroom window and nailing him exactly in the ear. I have to assume it was in his ear and they yanked it out and they just lit it in such a way that you did not see the string or it
was far away, so it's possible that they the paper airplane had a rich cinematic journey.
It did.
It was like the Snatch intro of this movie, you know what I mean? Where it was like wow, we're really getting a lot of work out of this paper airplane. For a bit that was like, why do we need it? But okay.
It's like a Pixar short for this paper airplane.
It was the sentimental piece of this movie. Yeah. Also, I got a little disturbed during the dance the dance Mageddon that happened toward the end, when the teacher and the lead character lock themselves in the Shawshank office, right? And then she's just she's ripping his clothes off. She's ripping them off his body. And I'm like, wait, man, you're 45 or whatever. Like, this is when you step in and go, I can't have that amount of fun.
Whereas, this isn't a props.
Yeah,
I know I'm the cool teacher, but every cool teacher always inevitably ends up in handcuffs because of this shit.
This is when I realize my age.
Yeah.
And I admit I'm lame. Like, I'm happy to do that.
I'm of two minds about that because I agree that pinged me. I was like, oh, Jesus. But I get what they're trying to do, which is
break down the structures.
She's the one, and she's the one being like, come on, let loose. It's the idea that in that relationship, he's not a sexual being in her eyes. Does that make sense?
Yes, it totally. I understood exactly the spirit of it when I watched it.
It's like dancing with your grandpa and being like, yeah, strip off your coat, but
it was,
it's not her grandpa.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, it isn't.
I agree. Also, that's a weird thing to do with your grandpa, but
agreed.
I liked that teacher character in general because I did again, the overall message, which is that if you squeeze people, they will fucking riot on you, and the intellectuals will agree with you. That's what he signifies, is that
that's true.
The intellectuals are like, no, you can't burn things. You can't do that. You have to let it's a guy I just liked that, where that in a lesser film, he would also be like, I'm snooty, Beethoven. He starts by being like Beethoven. Everybody, and then in the end, he's like, you, sirs, are the modern Beethoven to the Ramones. And I was like, that's actually a cooler arc than if he was just like, punk music, why I never, actually having the intellectual who knows music history be like, no, this is important and good.
And he says it to the
Ramones.
Who don't even have the acting prowess to say thank you.
No, again, it's like you're saying it to a dog. They just blankly smile back. It's a funny thing to say to that group where you're like, do you know what I'm saying right now? Do you know what Beethoven is? Do you know what words are? Anything. Waving your hand in front of them like, you got anything for me?
1, 2, 3, 4. It's like the only thing they can say to anything.
There's an amazing cover of, I think Sheena is a Punk Rocker by the Vandals, where every like 20 seconds you hear the drummer go 1, 2, 3, 4 during the song, and they just keep doing it. It's such a good bit.
I'm not making fun of the Ramones. It's just funny to watch them try to act. Like,
very easy to make fun of. I love the Ramones, but they're parodied within punk. Like there are punk songs parodying the Ramones. Yeah.
Of course, they're so strongly one thing, and only that thing. That's all they are, and I love it. I love it. Yeah. And this movie felt very loving toward them in a way that was very charming.
Yeah, I think so.
It was very earnest. I genuinely enjoyed it. It's making me laugh and kind of trip me up now how hot you thought the Nazi
she was. Go watch it again, my friend. Just her scenes.
I'm not going to do that. But
she is hot.
It thrills me that you enjoyed her scenes for that reason, because I was having a real hard time engaging with her scenes. They were just really dumb and boring.
They were very dumb and boring, and maybe that's why I realized. Because they were trying to hide it, but I was just like, wait, this lady is banging, isn't she?
And you're just imagining, take her hair out of the bun.
Yeah.
Get that weird Nazi pantsuit off of her.
I mean, yeah.
And it's suddenly she's...
It was just very clear. That was like, okay, yeah.
She's very tall. It was very clear that she's very tall.
She's definitely very tall, yes.
Very tall.
That probably played into it.
So is Joey Ramone, by the way. How tall is he? He is very tall.
Joey Ramone has a medical condition.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make fun of him.
No. It plays... hold on. I'm looking it up.
I thought he had a mental health thing.
He also had that. I think he's had a lot of trouble. But like, again, it's a very punk place to come from, of like being an outcast, obviously. He had Marfan syndrome. Marfan syndrome is often something that horror movie costume actors have, because it makes you tall and lanky. And so that's why I didn't
realize that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that like when I call him a goon, it's not really because of that. It's
his personality.
Exactly.
He's a goober in a lovable way.
So that's why I'm like, I don't feel bad, kind of, because it's like, no, that's not what makes him weird and awkward.
No, it's not his
just
body.
A weird, awkward.
It's
dude.
not his looks. It's the way he is. It's his energy.
They're all that. That's the thing, is they all, and that's part of their whole bit, is they all dress the same. They all are these weird,
He was having the most fun I've ever seen a musician have when they were doing the shots where they were like close to camera, pushing the battering ram thing in the high school, when they basically take over the high school at the end.
Yeah.
Like,
great. I liked the hallway set where they're going.
And that was when they were doing this, and like he wasn't always in the frame, but when he did get in the frame, it was very clear this is the best day of Joey Ramone's life. Yes. He's having such a good time.
He's having so much fun.
Like, good for you, man. Like, they should have that much fun. Why not? It's their movie, basically. Yeah. It's a promo for them, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. This ultimately, if Burrito was trying to hurt me, he failed.
I don't think he was trying to hurt you.
He didn't succeed, because that mouse poster alone was worth the price of admission.
No, I think this is a joyful... I didn't think you'd be like... Because, like, again, the Ramones are pretty... Where it's like, you don't have to be really into punk to enjoy. And, like, you're generally into music, so I figured, like, you'd have some knowledge anyway. Yeah. But, like, it's sort of like... it's the Ramones. Like, I don't know. They're these days... They play in fucking CVS, like, it's just...
They absolutely do.
Yeah.
I knew the song Rock and Roll High School before this movie. I didn't read anything about it before I started watching it. Like, not one thing. So I did not know this is going to be an extended Ramones promotion.
Yeah.
And was delighted when I discovered that it was. Like, when they kept hammering on the Ramones. No, I didn't know they were in it.
Oh, fuck,
no, I didn't know. And then they showed up in the car. I was like, oh, shit, they're actually in it. That's fun.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I've known this as... this is like one of... in the list of, like, punk movies. And there's that's the thing, is I didn't expect much from this, because there is so few good punk movies. I think the only truly good punk movie is Green Room.
That's a great movie, though.
Yeah.
But it's not about a punk band.
But it has... So what I mean by that is that it's a movie that doesn't feel like it was made by someone who didn't know punk. Like, the music they listen to is accurate, and the depiction of it is accurate. Things like that.
That seems right.
Yeah,
this
like
is
the use of Dead Kennedys and Fear. There's a really good use of the band Fear, because they're another 1, 2, 3, 4 band.
Yeah.
And they sing about getting drunk a lot, and so they do a scene where there's a party where they put on the record and it just goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then match cuts to them like hungover, and it was like, oh, that's a great Fear reference.
That's fun. Yeah.
So like that's what I mean is like that can be classified as a punk, but truly to make a good punk movie, it shouldn't be even seen as a punk movie, right? It should just be seen as a movie. Like,
I think it's more. I would think of it more as themes and setting.
Yeah.
If I was going to ever make a punk movie, which I shouldn't, because I'm not the right person for that. You should. Actually, I kind of think that script you wrote.
I'm writing one right now, Adam.
Are you?
Yep.
I'm slowly getting back to one right now.
Nice.
The script you wrote a while back about the body felt kind of punk to me.
Oh yeah, it's not.
You know?
There's no punks in it, but yeah, I know what you mean.
But I feel like the spirit of that
Yeah.
is punk a bit. You know?
Yeah.
At least that's what I would mean by it.
I mean,
what are you
there's
writing, Dave? You want to tell me about it?
Maybe off
Okay, all right,
mic.
all right.
Yeah, I mean, what? It's also the question of like, what is a punk movie? For me, it's a movie about punks with a lot of punk music in it. That's essentially
Okay.
what punk.
Okay.
And they want to be themed a little, because that's the other thing. Green Room is themed around punk. Like the Punk v Skinhead is obviously time honored. Or rather, Punk v Nazi Skinhead is a time honored battle. But so like that's a punk theme in Green Room, and then his solution, without spoiling the movie, is a very punk rock solution. It involves a degree of nihilism and like a punk. So like I do see that as that's a punk movie because it's also encapsulating like a certain element philosophies of the music into the movie.
I think the philosophies of the music is more important than it being about punks.
Probably.
Personally.
Yeah, you're probably right there.
Does this hurt your feelings to hear that Joey Ramone had lymphoma when he was basically our age?
I mean, that's sad. I did see where he died, and he never knew about 9/11.
That is
no
true.
one told him about 9/11.
That is true. I don't know that he missed that.
Yeah, I guess.
You know, I think he might have been better off not knowing about it.
Yeah. But yeah,
no, it's sad, right? Like
it is sad. I mean, a lot of short shelf lives on punks, except for Iggy Pop for some reason.
But normally because of bad decisions. You know what
normally,
I mean? Like this guy died from a tragic illness.
I mean, it depends. So, like, obviously, this is a different conversation. But like, someone like Gigi Allen, who died of a heroin overdose, also grew up in a terrible household.
Completely.
And like, where it's like he probably never had a chance.
Yeah.
But yeah,
sure
I know what
Sid
you're saying,
Vicious,
which is like a lot. Yeah, I know what you're saying, which is usually they don't die from an illness.
An illness that they had literally
or rather an illness that you were, a genetic illness.
Yeah. But I agree that it would have been much harder for Sid Vicious to reach my age than me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I completely understand that.
It depends, obviously, because I think a lot of punk was formed by people who were in certain situations where they couldn't get out of.
Weirdly,
a lot of it also wasn't, like it depends on the band because they are still just music people,
Weirdly, I was reading up on Sid Vicious the other day because I maybe I was thinking about watching this Sid and Nancy.
Sid and Nancy,
I don't remember.
yeah.
I haven't watched it, but I was thinking about it because it's
Gary
Gary Oldman, right?
Yeah, he's good in it.
And I just was like reading up on his life, and it was like, dude, what a crazy life that guy had.
Yeah.
And that goes to your point about some of these people had very difficult circumstances to come out of. I thought his,
and they're in an environment that breeds things like addiction, which is of course can become a disease. On like it depends. It really depends.
It's a good note.
It's why like old punk bands are so fun for me because those are the people who are kind of like they got out of it and they're still playing, but you can tell like they've developed certain amounts of like, not all of them, but most of them have developed a degree of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like control over their lives, like like they've figured it out now.
I mean,
but they're
I'll
still
use the
playing
word
these
gently,
like.
but maturity is the word I think you're looking for.
I was, maturity or like just like
self-control.
Yeah.
I don't mean that. I'm not belittling
No,
anybody who doesn't
I'm
have those
literally,
things.
I'm literally trying to remember a word that's one of those where it's like it's a very common word and it's just lost me.
But then there's people who
Discipline.
sort of
Discipline.
Yeah,
That's the word where it's like they figured it out. They have kids. They're like, I can't fucking die. And again, it goes back and forth. Like there's still people struggling with it and stuff like that. But that's all to say that like old punks are fascinating because they have been through this ringer and they made it out the other side, and they're dealing with that in a variety of different ways. You know what I mean?
Completely. I mean, I think we do culturally sort of appreciate an old rock star who never changed and managed to survive.
Yeah,
like the Lemmys of the world and the Keith Richards.
Lemmy's super dead, but yeah.
Well, but he lived a long time.
Well, Keith Richards, I think, is secretly very healthy. I think that's his secret.
He must be.
He's done interviews where he's like, I do yoga and stuff, and it's like, oh, you're just a boring old guy.
Does he even smoke anymore?
I don't know. But that's what's funny is like I feel like some have to. One of my favorite experiences I had, which I probably told on one of these podcasts, is I went to this British festival called Holidays in the Sun, which was a very, very much 70s punk era. So it's all these old fucks. This was like probably 2003-ish, so they weren't as old, but they were all still like 40 to 60, more like 60 years old.
That's cool.
And
that's probably fun.
Oh yeah, it was a blast. It was in this very small town.
Yeah.
That was just taken over by the punks, and so we were grocery shopping, and in front of us in line was the lead singer of UK Subs, which isn't a huge punk band, but they're up there.
But you know them.
Yeah, they're for punk fans. I think people go like, "Oh shit, it's the UK Subs," and that's what we did. We were like, "Oh my god, that's the lead singer of UK Subs." This like old British guy who we'd seen his band a few times, and every time he was on stage, he was really hard to understand. Like he'd talk to the audience, and nobody would know what the fuck he's saying, but we'd all like cheer. And so we were buying whiskey. So we like
classic.
Yeah. So after we checked out, we were like, "Hey man, we love UK Subs. What are you up to?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just buying these pies for my missus." Exact quote.
That's amazing.
I'm buying these pies for my missus. We're at the hotel. She wants me back. And I was like, that's cool. That's cool. You want to drink this whiskey in the parking lot? And he got so pained. And then it was just like, okay. And like, you could tell like he just had to. Like, I don't think he was like trying not to drink, but it was clear that he had a thing he was sent out to do by his family. And then we just got drunk with him in the parking lot because we're like these 20-year-old punks. And it was that idea of
was
him
it cool?
just... Oh yeah, he was
Did you
fun,
enjoy
but
it?
it was almost like he knew he needed like that punk cred of like, okay, I can't not do this. Let's go get drunk in the parking lot. And then he sat and got drunk with us in the parking lot. Oh, he had a good time. He was neat.
That's really nice that he did that. Because to me, I mean, and I think I would have felt this way at 25. With somebody like that, I want to hear where they've gotten to at 60. You know what I mean? Like I don't. Like I just want to know, like, you've done this for 40 years now. Do you feel the same way about life you did then? Like that's interesting to me.
That would be interesting.
I'm not as interested in like a person like Johnny Rotten or somebody like that who's like,
no, not really.
No, who's at the core just like, I want to burn everything down. Like that's not interesting to me. But
I
a
am
guy
curious,
like that, I'm curious.
My friend played, his band opened for the Murder Junkies, which is Gigi Allen's band. It was Gigi Allen, the Murder Junkies.
Yeah.
Gigi Allen's thing was he'd get on stage, get naked, usually like do really fucked up things. There's a whole documentary about him called Hated, where he would like, cut himself. He was a fucked up guy.
I think I've seen footage.
Probably. But the Murder Junkies went on after he died. And so it was very interesting seeing them play with my friend's band, because when they came up, literally the drummer, who's like 60, like got up and just got naked, and you could tell he didn't really care
want to do it.
Yeah. He's just like, this is us.
This is what we do.
Our band. Yeah. And he just got completely bare ass naked. And it's like, again, this vibe of these old punks who are just like, this is the slop you fucking want. Here you go.
Here's the slop.
Here you go, you pieces of shit. Here.
That makes me
Everybody's
sad.
going wild.
Did you like it? Like, are
Yeah, it
you
was
like,
fun.
oh, I'm glad they did it? Okay,
I talked to them after, and they were perfectly happy guys. Like,
Yeah.
they're not like deeply depressed. It's just that this is their job.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
very funny.
Right.
Is after a certain amount of time, they're just like, this is what we do.
Right. I mean, it's especially galling, I'm sure, for an older guy to do this punk shit.
Yeah.
When, like, I mean, I know that at a certain point in your life, you, like, just don't think the same as when you're 20 anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And don't think it's awesome to do this anymore. You know what I mean?
There's a documentary I haven't seen by No Effects called The F Word. It's literally
Okay.
about becoming a father as a punk and like what that
Wow.
did to them, because it is like
Wow, that's
suddenly you're
interesting.
like, what do I say to this kid? There's so much incriminating evidence about me at their
Yeah.
age.
Yeah.
It was an interesting idea.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, even I think like the lead singer, Bad Religion, for instance. Do you consider Bad Religion punk? I think
think
it's fair.
so, right?
I think so too. Yeah, has had interesting points of view, not shift so much as like maturations as
Right.
he's aged. You know what I mean? Like those are the kind of guys I would like to hear them come from a more authentic place now. I don't know. You know?
Yeah, it is fascinating what they would have to say. You're right.
Like, what would Joey Ramone, who, you know, he's been gone for 20 years now, like the Ramones at age 60 is
Right.
or 70 is like what does that mean? You know, no idea.
I don't
Absolutely
know.
No idea.
Yeah.
I did get such a kick out of imagining all these kids who are doing these dance scenes, like now what age they are, having to watch
yeah.
this shit. It was like, oh man, this is
These
what I had
old
to
fucks.
do. And then I realized you and I are going to have to do that, Dave.
Yeah, we're already on our way.
We're going to be 70. We're going to have to listen to this, or we're going to have to watch those old cracked fucking bullshit
Yeah.
things we made. It's like, oh no.
That's
We're no
the thing,
better.
is like doing jobs like this. It's like, yeah, as you get older, you just have to pivot with it or figure out what to do. You know, like
Yeah. Here
if you're
comes
an
the slop.
accountant, you can just be an old accountant, and it's like
Right.
fine. You know.
Yeah, the math biz doesn't change, doesn't evolve the way the arts do.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, too bad we didn't get into the math biz, Dave.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a math podcast? Now there's an idea, Dave.
Mathcast?
You and I just talked mathcast. That's an idea.
I don't know anything about math.
I know. That's why
Ask
we're
me
the
about
right
math.
guys for
Ask
it.
me a thing
yeah.
about math.
Yeah. What's a hypotenuse, Dave?
I don't know.
This is good content.
We should probably stop.
Are you sure? Because it's only been an hour 10. I feel like I could teach you what a hypotenuse is, Dave. Did you want to learn?
Is it?
It's the long angle in a triangle, Dave.
Oh shit!
long
I
side of
wasn't
a
even
triangle.
gonna guess anywhere near that. I went to a performance arts school, which
I
means
know.
that I can't multiply on paper.
You got a dream star for in
exactly.
math. I know.
It was like Arrested Development, where
Yeah,
it's
you
just
got a
like
crocodile smile and spelling.
Yeah, where I could
know.
do like
Yeah.
like a interpretive dance as my final for algebra.
And
yeah,
I really hope you did.
it wasn't far off.
Dave's interpretive dance is another thing I'd put $15 for.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
$30. That's 30 of my dollars I've volunteered on this podcast, Dave.
It's on the table. Make it happen.
Oh shit. All right, I guess I could be done.
Yeah, Adam.
Yeah.
I feel like I forgot to ask you
Yeah.
to plug stuff at the beginning.
Oh
of
yeah,
this.
it's okay. I'll plug
We
it
had
now.
we were like zooming.
We had so much joy.
Please.
Yeah. Yeah, you bet. So Lynchpins, the podcast I do with Maggie Mae Fish on David Lynch's work, is around on YouTube. It's on her channel, Maggie Mae Fish. If you really like it and want to hear the extended cuts, they have a subscription to Nebula that you are welcome to purchase that gets early access to all her videos, not just Lynchpins, but you'll get Lynchpins too. So there's that. I produced a documentary feature film called Sanibel. It is debuting at the I just lost the name of the Naples Film Festival.
Yeah, it's like nipples.
It is like that, but only a city in Florida. In late October, I believe. I think it's going to be heavily featured, at least I hope so. As of now, I'm not going to be there. So if you're going there to meet me, that's not the reason. Instead, go there to watch the movie if you'd like to see it. That may change. There's some behind-the-scenes conversation about that happening. And if it does, I'll let all of you know. So those of you who are interested in come out, and I'll give you a high five and throw an Angry Dave quote your way. I don't know. Is that my meme? I guess
sure?
I'll do that meme. Yeah, sure. That'll be the slop I throw.
Yes,
yes, the slop.
Hot slop.
Hot slop. I don't have any other things that are relevant to mention. Oh, excuse me. My main biz is on the Patreon Small Beans, where you can find my podcast about video games, one-upsmanship. You can also find Director Piece Theater, a podcast I do with Abe. And I'll show you mine if you show me yours, which I do with Maggie, and also Escape from the Multicurse, which I do with Mike and Abe. And who knows if perhaps a Cowboy Bebop podcast or a Deadwood podcast might evolve. There's been discussions, so maybe all those things are on the Patreon.
Yeah.
So many things.
Do that. Check that out, folks.
Yeah, check all that out. Dave, you're going to get a new iPhone?
An iPhone?
I'm thinking about getting the new iPhone.
I already got it, baby.
You pre-ordered it?
No, is there a new one? New?
Yeah, it's coming out in like 4 days.
I just got a new one that came out, I thought.
No, it's a 16. The 16
I
comes
just
out.
said the fucking 15. This is horse shit.
Like when? Today?
Who gives a shit about the 16? It's fine.
That's a nice looking phone, though.
It looks like a phone.
Yeah, it looks pretty
They all
good.
look like the fucking phones, yeah.
Let me ask, does it have the USB-C charge, Dave?
I don't fucking know. What does that mean?
Does it? You know how they have that stupid connector that only iPhones have?
Yeah,
It charges
it's got
forever.
the stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're getting rid of that, Dave. iPhone 6, they're going right to the normal USB-C, like a controller. So that thing's gonna charge up like it's.
I mean,
on
I might
fucking
have
grease
that
lightning, Dave.
already.
Let me see the port. Dave, show me your hole.
Oh, fucking Christ! It looks like
Show me
this.
Yeah, Dave, you got USB-C. Look at you.
I got it.
Dave,
yeah, it's nice.
That thing's charging the fuck up fast.
Let me tell y'all about the iPhone.
I want to hear about it. Yeah.
What the coolest thing about it is if you take a picture in portrait mode, you can then change the focal length of the picture at will in editing. Like
so it's
magic.
giving you all the focal lengths, and you can choose between them.
Yeah,
that's a cool idea.
Yeah. So you can literally look at the picture and go like, I kind of want that to be in focus instead. Yeah, that's neat.
I got to be honest with you. If it wasn't so expensive, that would be a good decision for movies to make. Like if you were a feature filmmaker and you could stack 3 lenses on top of each other like that and
Zack
choose
Snyder
between
did that.
Yeah, right. Well,
When he made
spent
300.
$500 million, but yeah, like cuz there are times that being able to change focal length after the fact would be really cool.
Yeah.
And it makes you appreciate David Fincher's work cuz he is very precise with focal length all the time. And he does not have that tool, I don't think.
He's very good at it.
Yeah, he's
he
real
should have
good.
made this movie. I
Oh
want to see
man,
him remake this
Can you
movie.
imagine? It's just like soaked in orange light the whole time.
Yeah.
You know?
It would probably be terrible.
Oh yeah,
David Lynch
It would
version
not
of
be
Rock and
fun.
Roll High School.
No, David
yeah.
Fincher.
Or David. Well, yeah,
Neither
David
of
Lynch
them,
would
really.
be great.
Yeah, David Lynch. I think
I
it
can see
might
that
be not
working.
that dissimilar.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Joey, I like what you're up to, Joey. We're gonna do it again.
He loves their acting. He's like, they're the best actors.
Cigarettes. He's just out there, just railing cigarettes. Just like, I want to add lines for you, Dee Dee. I love what you're up to. I'm gonna add some lines.
Hey, listen, our music is produced by Chris Corlew. You can find him on twitter.com as the Corlew or go to shipwreckedsailor.bandcamp.com. Our channel artwork is produced by Michael Vincent Bramley. For more of his work, go to mvbramley.art. Our episode artwork is by Justin Brown, available on Twitter as Justin T. Brown or at artness by justinbrown.com. And finally, additional artwork is by Starlene Hodge. You can find her work at starlenearts.com or on Twitter as StarleneX. Cool. Goodbye.